being this month's Public Works Committee meeting. Call to order has been done. Roll call as indicated. We have excused absences for Belsky and Gray. I have not heard from Eric Meadows, so that'll be pending. But other than that, we have 4 in attendance, which should satisfy the quorum regulations. Moving on to citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments who would like to address the proceedings here? Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Approval of minutes from previous meetings. I trust that committee members have seen the minutes. I must admit I have not seen myself to review them. But questions, comments, motion approved.
Second.
Moved and second to approve the previous minutes. And that's just from 1 month, right? Just from last month, January. Is that right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. Chairman, committee members, supervisor, youth and governance comments. I don't have anything specific other than to discuss the next month's meeting, which would be the 4th Monday of March. Look at my calendar right now. Here would be the 24th. My first impression was to have it at one of the golf course facilities, but I would take that under advisement from you, Jim. We're still gonna have simulators running at Brightendale by that time, do you think?
They could very likely be down, but if weather stays terrible,
Might leave them
may
up.
leave them up. So I think Petrifying Springs is a better bet,
Okay,
especially given the time of the meeting. It should still be dark around that time. So
okay.
the place should be.
So let's do that as a pencil in date. Next meeting would be that 24th of March. Petrifying Springs Golf Course Clubhouse at 6:30 p.m. And again, that can always be subject to revision, but that would be our understanding at this point. Any other supervisors like to make a comment or address our committee before we begin? Very well, let's jump into it then with Golf Division, Mr. Jim Wallace.
Thanks, Chair Grady. I'll hit the highlights here. Simulator usage is pretty steady in comparison with last year. Equipment sales are lagging slightly behind. A lot of the new equipment has just come out, so it's a little bit late in the game. We're doing some demo days. I think the driving range should help with that a little bit. We completed our final interview today for the Petrifying Springs Golf Course Superintendent position. So we have selected a candidate. So we'll be reaching out with offers and going through that process in the coming days. Opening dates, always a tough thing to predict the weather. As of right now, the first half of March is not looking great in terms of long-term forecast, but really 7 days out is when we can get our most accurate forecast and we'll look to make that decision. I will reach out through Joe Potente to Kenosha News once we have decided on a date. We usually shoot for St. Patrick's Day. We'll see if that happens this year. But I will reach out and try to get in the newspaper about two to 3 days before we open, and then I'll put it on our social media channels as well. The seasonal job postings are live. We're starting to get quite a few candidates for most of our open positions already. I've learned much more about well pumps in the past few weeks than I ever wanted to, but we're still working on that. I'm trying to make sure we do our due diligence and get several different quotes from different well contractors around here.
Well, which facility?
The well pump at the Brightendale building, it is still working, but it's close to the end of its life and we're having some little quirky issues with it. We certainly don't want it going down in the middle of the season and having no water in the clubhouse, so we're looking to replace it, in the next.
So that hadn't been renewed when we did the renewed piping out there at Brightendale?
So that well was put in, this is the one for the clubhouse, the building. Now, they redid the water softener systems and everything like that. The pump was put in 2011, so it's approaching
Oh, so it
15
is that.
years. Yeah, it's a 40-gallon a minute pump. I know way more about it than I wanted to, but it was put in 2011, so it's approaching that 15-year.
So it's the pump itself, it's not the well casing or the well depth?
No, it'll be the pump, and from what I've been told, you want to replace the drive shaft as well while you're.
At the same time?
Yes, correct. So it's looking like it's gonna be $11,000-12,000, but I'm working on that. So,
Well, no, you're wise to address that on the front side, certainly.
yeah. And so, projects, the big project for this year is, we want to build a storage building, an additional storage building out of Brightdale to house maintenance equipment. We have a lot of expensive equipment right now. And some of it, we shuffle it in and out, so nothing's sitting outside in permanence, but we certainly could use additional storage out there. So I have a kickoff meeting scheduled for that a week from today at 8 AM with Keeney Architects, who we previously had a, service agreement to handle the bid documents and assist with that. So, that is in motion, and we hope to build that building yet this year.
That would be sited where on the Brightdale property?
Close to where the house used to be, over on that, if you walk out of the maintenance facility on the left side there, there's a big open space.
Very well. Would you just keep me apprised on how it goes when you have your offer extended to your candidate for Petrifying Springs?
Absolutely,
And just keep me in the loop on that, so I'll be able to report at the next planning board meeting.
absolutely.
Anything else as far as golf, John?
No, sir.
From committee members, any questions about golf, past, present, future? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let's go on to Mr. Wyatt Moore for parks. And I have to advise you before Mr. Moore starts, he's not required to be here this evening. He's actually on leave. He's had a new addition to his family, and so he's here voluntarily, just as a proof of his dedication to being here and doing county work. So without further ado, thank you.
No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to see everybody. You know, we feel like we're in a little cave for 2 weeks, so nice to pump my head out a little bit. But I do appreciate that. Not very many updates, from what I've turned in on the report, just a few things, and I'll go through them briefly for you. So over at Bristol Woods Park, we are still working on getting the window replaced on top of, Pringle Nature Center. We had a new window fabricated for one that, it was leaking that they found while they were redoing the shingles on the roof. So we were going to just replace the windowsill. And the long story short, there was a window that had been broken there, had been broken for quite some time. So we ordered a new window. We were in the middle of replacing it, but the window contractor broke the other window in the middle of the install. So we're waiting for the other window to now get finished so we can do everything all at once. So that's the only small update there. You'll see what's been added to the report is the Kemper Center chapel repairs. So what we're working on at the moment is getting plans and specs and drawings so that we have a very detailed description of what work needs to be done before that can go out to bid. And also, in addition to the scope of work that's on here, we are adding repairs to the outdoor steps. So you won't see that on the report, but we are adding that to the scope of work. And other updates for you, the Simmons Gymnasium door replacement, the one that's been on hold for roughly a year. At this point, I got a call from Bay Nelson yesterday. The doors are done. So I did a backflip. I can't actually do a backflip, but I attempted it. I was very happy.
Well, they're installed.
They're not installed,
Oh, they're here.
but they're done being fabricated. That's what's been taken. So,
Okay.
yeah. So once they have time in the schedule and the weather actually allows, because part of it is painting the exterior, once the doors go in, that will get done. The mobile stage that's on here has been ordered. I have it here if anyone's interested in it. We got lucky. We actually had a trade show that Garrett got to go to. Saw the stage that's very similar to the one we used to have, the one that they supposedly stopped manufacturing a couple of years ago. We found someone who still is making it. So we're working with them to get that stage done. And the old Settlers Park playground designs are now finalized as well. I have those if anybody wants to see it. And there was a bid meeting, the initial bid meeting for Pipe River Phase 3. So the bids for that should be due on the 28th of February. Other than that, I have no other updates.
Okay. How close to RFP are we on the Kemper Chapel renovation?
That one's hard to say, just because we want to make sure, based on the variety of work that's being done in there, that we have specs and drawings for all of the activities. So until we can get those done, it'll be hard to say how far that will go out, because the folks who are putting those together for us, or at least giving us a quote on what it would cost to get those put together, they're also the ones who are doing sort of the bone study for us as well. So we're not sure how that would factor into their workflow.
So are we going to try to at least have the RFP that includes the chapel renovation, also include the rides dressing area for the Kemper project? Is that correct?
That should be included in
We'd
there.
like to have them run concurrently if we could.
Right, yeah, that should all be included in that $250,000 budget that you see there. Yep.
Very well. Questions for Mr. Moore on things that have been brought forward to this point? Are you satisfied with the way the roof came out for Pringle?
I am, absolutely, yeah. And we were in the middle of doing it. Some of the fascia on the side sort of fell off. And it did require a little bit of a change order, but it ended up working out because the issue with the previous roof, it was more so the way it was built, even at the nail base, the venting wasn't very good. So the shingle job that they did was great, and it gave us an opportunity to redesign that venting system. So to get away from those discs that I talked about at the
Right.
meeting back in, and I think that was in June.
So it's actually an upgrade to the physical
Yeah.
underlayment of that.
Absolutely, yeah. So in addition to redoing the fascia when that fell off, we did a short redesign for that venting system, and we're really happy with how that ended up turning out.
So you've actually had snow on that roof since it was constructed, so you have a chance to evaluate it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No leaks as far as we can tell.
Good, thank you. Seeing no further questions for Parks. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Let's move on to highways with Mr. Greg Bull.
Yeah, so, I'll start with two resolutions that, we're requesting, approval on. The first one is for government responsibility. It's a resolution, that we need, from, approved by the elected officials here for an urban non-point source and stormwater grant. So, we've consulted with an engineering firm to help us write this grant. Part of the grant application is that if we get the grant, the local unit of government, the Kenosha County, agrees to pay their portion of the grant, which I believe is an 80-20 grant.
Okay.
So what it is we do, and there is money budgeted for this already. But yeah, so it's just saying that, you know, if we get the grant, that will contribute 20% to it.
Questions on this specific item? Go ahead.
Is the 20% dollars or is it man hours or?
It's
combination?
dollars.
Dollars?
It's
Okay.
dollars, yes.
Okay.
Yep,
I was gonna ask that.
yep, it's actual dollars, yep.
Further questions on this particular application? We're looking for a motion, is that
Motion to
correct?
approve.
Yes.
Motion by Supervisor Decker, second by Supervisor Gamos. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
The second resolution, requesting approval for is, we have to accept some right-of-way land acquisition along 38th Street, County Truck Highway N, which is adjacent to the U-Line development, kind of the northern one in the city of Kenosha area. U-Line is looking to expand to include, to construct 3 more buildings there between 128th Avenue and 136th Avenue along County Truck Highway N. Part of those improvements is the fact that they need to widen the roadway out to a 5-lane cross-section road. Part of that also because they're widening that portion out, which is actually in the city of Kenosha, but they extend to the west into the county just a little bit, because there's a jurisdictional transfer that's been approved previously. They extend into the county, and to get all the roadway and utilities that need more right of way to do that, U-Line has acquired the right of way through the property owners, so there was no budget, no fiscal impact to the county, but because it's public right of way, we have to accept the land as right of way so it can become right of way. So they did all the work, we have to accept. So I'm requesting approval for us to accept the additional right of way along County Truck Highway N.
Supervisor Decker.
Once the road becomes a 5 lanes, is the city gonna take that over or is it?
They already have.
Oh.
Yeah, so the city took,
portion.
yeah, so through jurisdictional transfer, and I don't remember when that happened, was that 2 years ago? Year ago?
Years ago,
Yeah, maybe in April?
might have been last April.
Yeah, last April-ish, from 128th to 136th. Were jurisdictionally transferred from the county to the city.
Okay.
So they've already owned the right of way. Where we need to take it is 136th Avenue West, a couple hundred feet, where they taper into the road cross section is in the county, and they're doing some water main and sanitary sewer improvements in that area, just kind of extend it. They need more right of way to do that work.
Okay, thank you.
On one of the Uline projects, if I recall correctly, there was some type of provision where the maintenance of the area, I don't think it was the road bed, I think it was some adjacent area, grassy area, whatever, was going to be done by Uline.
Nothing with maintenance in this area. Now, I don't know all the agreements that,
I appreciate it.
Uline has in some of the other areas, especially they've got like the grassy medians kind of off 165 in that area.
So
Actually, some of that's in the county too.
business as usual in terms of what we maintain.
Yeah.
Being a county.
Right now, to be honest, but like our county is still plowing it, even though it's in jurisdictionally in the city. We do some roadway swaps for plowing, like
Right.
there's some county roads that the city does, there's a couple of roads that we do that the city is truly owns.
Right.
Just because it makes more sense to finish an area where they're working, so. The city will own a portion of it with jurisdiction transfer. We may do some of the snow plowing. At some point, I've had some conversations that once this gets to a certain point, not just become as equal of a trade, and maybe we'll have to change something else.
Well, you should be familiar with that because you came from a city position.
Well, right, and maybe I negotiated, no, just kidding. The big one is, 128th Avenue.
Right.
From N down to K, and eventually wants to get expanded. Well, we're plowing that still now, and they're doing a county road for us. They do County Truck Highway L for us, kind of in the
What
north.
you're saying is periodically you get together with the city and you compare notes and you say, okay, we're doing this for you, do this for us, so.
Yeah,
Good.
and that'll happen again once.
Then just, maybe apprise us when that occurs,
Oh, yeah.
give us some type of summary at some point of
Yeah.
how things proceed, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Anything further on this before we ask for a motion to approve? Any supervisors have any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Supervisor Franco seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Just kind of from the division report, I'll just kind of give a high level summary as to what I provided before. We did receive an order of salt, last week. Not that we were getting close to running out, but a shed was about a quarter to a half full. We needed to take some more for our contract through this season. So we've taken at least some more salt in last week. About 5,000 tons, I believe they took in. Obviously, we're continuing some bid openings, a bunch of project designs going on. We're trying to finalize a speed study along County Truck Highway O in the village of Twin Lakes, on the Randall area. And just kind of a heads up, we are reviewing an adopt a county highway
Okay.
program.
Yeah.
I would anticipate if everything goes well, potentially next month, that will be in front of you for review and potential approval. Outside of that, obviously our crews are busy mostly with winter operations, but also doing some crack filling, brush trimming around county highways, the stuff we can do during the winter. But studying the plans for the spring, summer months as to that kind of our workload ramps up a little bit. You did ask, last month, a little bit of an update on fleet that with our 2025 CIP equipment. We've got 3 1-tons. A lot of it we're kind of finalizing specs, looking to order hopefully in the March, April timeframe. Some of it we'll get this year, like we've talked about, the bigger dump trucks, we won't, right?
So we're slated to receive what at this point, 3 1-tons and what else?
So we're looking that we should get, 3 1-tons, a supervisor truck, which is more of a typical pickup truck. A van that the fleet uses, so like a full-size van. A stake body truck, which is like a truck with a flatbed type on it.
State truck?
A stake truck. And a skid steer.
Oh, so none of the real big items.
No, I mean, the bigger, single axle, triaxle, quad axle dump trucks, those are what are all on delayed,
Okay.
right? So those are still looking, hopefully get them in like the fourth quarter of 25 and the first quarter of
So
26.
just keep us surprised as you go
Yep.
through those.
And then we do have a couple of projects that did open bids. The County Truck Highway KD radar speed signs. We have a pre-construction meeting on that next week, this week yet. And then a County Truck Highway C multi-use path construction from 128th Avenue to 136th Avenue along County C there, near the interstate going to County Truck Highway U, which is kind of where that new development is. So there's a new multi-use path planned there.
Right.
Kind of like where Highway C, John Deere dealership, whatever Highway C services, whatever it's, Highway C something.
Yeah.
And then those are county contracted projects, and we have a couple of state bridges that at this point have been bid and awarded. And then construction will probably start in the spring, summertime. Staffing, we've hired 2 new highway patrol workers. And so with all of that, that leaves open positions. We have 1 civil engineering position, 2 mechanics, and 2 patrol workers.
So you have openings for 1 mechanic,
2 mechanics,
2 mechanics.
2 patrol workers, or highway laborers, highway
Okay.
patrol. And 1 civil engineer.
Anything further? Or,
All I got.
just bring us up to speed on kind of, KD speed signs,
Yes.
Highway 50 to JB. What was the genesis of that? What was the reason for,
There's been some speed concerns in there, and then they were funded through a carbon reduction grant through the FHWA grant.
okay,
So there was a grant that is, so we'll be putting up 4 radar speed signs along KD in that area.
so who's district would that be geographically, is that your zone?
Yep.
Will there be any heightened enforcement out there in terms of, just kind of monitoring the situation to see how the,
Yeah, I mean, we'll work with the sheriff's department, again, I never say that I'm going to direct sheriff's department where to go, because that's not my job, but I can ask them.
For the constable.
Yeah,
so maybe you can keep us up to speed, just kind of bring to county board how it's going out there. We'd like to, make sure people are slowing down when they're supposed to.
The main concern out there is having Tuesday.
Yes, that's the racetrack.
It's a scary, 80 and 50 is a very.
Let me guess,
scary-
Friday on the east, on the westbound, and Sunday on the,
Yes,
Friday on the
but
westbound.
All of
every day,
it,
all the
all
time.
of it,
but it's
morning,
especially-
evening, I drive past it every day. You never know if they're gonna stop or go for it.
All right, very well. Thank you for your report, Greg. Let's go to Mr. Manstrino next for facilities.
Thank you, Supervisor. Report is as written. Really have quite a few projects in the bid process and pre-construction. Couple of bids due within the next few weeks here, but nothing really kicked off yet, kind of a lull in projects. Going into staffing, we do have 1 maintenance tech position open right now. That posting closes this week. And we did make a few new hires. We did hire a temporary custodian at the safety building. And we have 2 new custodians down at Civic Center, 1 at the courthouse and 1 at K-County.
Are you satisfied with the progress at KCDC in terms of the HVAC?
We are. I mean, there's been and frankly, but there's been a bit of a hang up in H-Storm, but the contractor we have is working well with the engineer to work through that. So nothing that we don't think we could work through.
We'll think we'll be on the scheduled timeframe we designated before. We think we'll be pretty much where we want to be with phase 3. We'll wait for Frank.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, yep.
There you go.
I don't know what they're doing out
Yeah.
there, but it sounds like Spanish dancing.
I think we're having fun.
Primarily, I'm brought in for some technical support on the project, and for my, my expertise with that is, I think we're on the right track to finish on time. Yeah, Frank going to schedule for sure.
Questions from Mr. Serino, anything about facilities to this point you'd like to enlighten the town? Very well, thank you for your report, man.
Thank you.
Mr. Martinelli, Frank?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The report is up to date. Just want to point out a couple things. We went back to We Energies as far as the Brookside generator when they're going to change out their 25,000 volt switch as a preventive maintenance because of the age. At the same time that we cut over the generator, killing two birds with one stone. Verbally, again, they came back with it would just be Bradford, Brookside, and Willowbrook, but we asked for a confirmation or a chart or something to make sure.
The date for that is which?
That is June 16th we have. Again, we'll keep updating you. We still have some more panels that are going to show up in late May. That's been a big bottleneck getting these. They're custom made panels, you know, high amperage panels for this. So that's still kind of a hangover from the pandemic. But so we've got, we'll get a formal or official on that from We Energies. KCC backup generator, same thing. We're dealing with those custom made high amperage panels. We were actually able to reach out to Cummings and work with them to get the dates a little better to come in. But we're still looking at the end of July, actually, to get the panels in, hooked up, and to switch over to the new generator.
Really?
Yeah.
So is the generator on site?
Yes, it's actually right here. That's the one thing that came in earlier. That the kind of supply chain kind of has gotten straightened out, but it's these custom made panels. The PSB underground gasoline diesel fuel tank replacements and replacement of the entire fuel island. If you remember, it came in overbid, and we added some more money in, but because we already had the specs and everything written, we just had to issue them. We got them out as soon as the budget passed, because they can only do their work pretty much, you know, they can't do it in the wintertime. Everybody's books were empty. And we actually, it came in $81,000 less than last year.
No kidding.
Yes, so it does for outdoor work. It really pays to get those bids out, just like roofing, right? You can't roof in the wintertime, and we've gotten fabulous pricing getting that out as soon as possible, which kind of leads me to the Kemper flat roof replacement. Again, we got that out, you know, as soon as the budget was passed, and everybody's schedule is empty and they really want cash flow. So we got a really aggressive price, and we figured we saved about $40,000 on that too. So
For which roof is this from?
the Kemper flat roof replacement for 2025, the last item on the report. Again, they can't do roofing in the wintertime. They're kind of cash starved, so they really want to fill up their books. Facilitech Construction Group out of New Berlin, they're new for us, but our consultant went through the whole bid with them, and they're qualified with the roofing material manufacturers. So yeah, but it's hopefully all goes well. But again, we got some really good pricing there.
So the Kemper flat roof bid came in, how much under anticipation?
What we were budgeting for altogether was, conservatively, we were estimating it would be about 90 to 100,000.
Yeah.
And well, with contingency, but they came in at 49,000. And again, we make sure that they have all their scope. We went over the whole spec with them, all the requirements, that they're certified by the manufacturer, we specify the type of EDPM manufacturers, you know, good quality manufacturers, that they have to be certified by them. You know, they have to be a certified supplier. They check all the boxes, so we'll make sure they do a good job. That's it.
So let's just back up and take a look at the PSP underground gasoline diesel fuel tanks. When the bids came in previously, they came in a certain amount over our expectation, correct?
Yes, they came in. We had 700,000 in the budget and they came in just over 700,000. So we had no contingency, nothing. It wasn't feasible, but, all in, this year's budget, actually I've got the breakdowns, but so this year's budget actually came in at 81,000 less, plus we put extra money in, so we got plenty for contingency and stuff. The only big risk with this that we don't see in a normal project is we have leak detection in there underneath the tanks. Nothing is going off, but in case we run into something, you have to properly dispose of it. So this gives us enough cushion if we run into anything.
So your current bid to do that project is 81K less than it was bid before. So what is the current number then?
So the current number, let me just pull it up, because I have also in there, the engineers that designed it, and then we'll be looking over it with us. It's right about 675,000, but I'll get the exact number here. And then, see, hold on. And actually, we had an alternate to have a bigger canopy that would spread out wider to protect the equipment and the officers and stuff. Fueling up, so we were able to do that. 700. Okay, yeah, $702,600 along with the alternate, the bigger canopy.
And that's current.
That's current.
Okay. So just to make sure you and mine completely around this, originally we allocated approximately $700,000 for this project, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When the bids came in, they came in how high, how far off the mark were they?
They came in at $783,000.
And now we're basically getting it down to $700,000, extended canopy included, just with the bid process and the contractor wanting to be first one to begin.
It does, that's,
At least we think that's it.
yeah, I'll pull the contractor aside later, but it's, you know, the labor has gone up, the materials, you know, time is not our friend anymore.
Right.
So, and plus, we had 2 bidders last year, and the lower bid, I should say the higher bid company, which was Interstate Pump and Tank, then saw the 2 bid numbers, and then this time they came in below what the lower bid was, so
Interesting.
that also helps too, that
Some
they,
psychology involved here, isn't there?
yeah, so this time, yeah, it worked in our favor, knock on wood.
Right.
So many of them have been coming in higher, so we'll take the good news.
Not often the case. Thank you for your diligence in doing that. Anytime we can save that amount of money.
It's really worked out well for outdoor, where they've got a window of time, you know, in the summertime to do this. It's really worked well for us to get those bids out straight right away.
Anything else on your report?
No.
Okay. Questions by the committee? I've not heard how we're doing on public safety building for the hydraulic cylinder replacement. Where are we at with that?
So, that one was mine. The, bids are due the 27th. So we had a walkthrough, on the 12th. 3 contractors, they were pretty confident that we could with their budget on that.
So just giving your best guess as to when we'll have another elevator up and running, you would estimate, assuming the bids are reasonable.
We did ask, and I got a verbal answer on the cylinder manufacturing time, and it was close to 2 months. So it would be, I would say probably 3 months from now at the earliest that it would be repaired.
So we're talking second, third quarter of this year.
Correct.
So our elevator's been down for a while.
It's been an inconvenience for the jail. It has.
All right, thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Martinelli? Seeing none, thank you for your report, Frank. I think we're now up for department review with Director Billings.
Chairperson Grady wanted me to give you a brief update on human services. Right now we are for projects continuing within the budget. We do have some scheduling concerns that we're voicing with CMA, the manager of the building and the owner of the property. We're working through those. It has been eating up a lot of Frank and my time to try to keep them within the scheduled scope. But we're hoping to tighten that up a little bit more before we release a final date to you. And then demo is pretty well done, as well as the underground work. So contingency for unforeseen conditions is hopefully slowing down. We'll be more in the building envelope, but we're about halfway through contingency, I would say, from Chris's latest numbers that I had sent out in our monthly updates. So that's it for human services. The KCC, we had a kickoff meeting for the design for the renovations here, specifically in the sheriff's department. We're going to be hosting separate meetings with each of the departments that's impacted by the design, and we're hoping that'll happen in the next month. So we'll get those plans and specs getting going here for bids, hopefully late 2025. And then I just want to remind everybody of the committee of the whole on Wednesday to talk about the South Branch of the Pike River. The presentation will talk about some additional options that we were given for some additional funding sources to complete that, as well as a kind of an outline of how we could schedule that project if it moves forward. So we'll look forward to seeing you all then.
Who's the architect for the KCC remodel?
CUNY Architect.
So are they pretty much done with their part of it and are ready for the documents to go out, or where are we at?
We are in the preliminary layout stages, so we're gonna meet with each department to make sure that the current layout we have as proposed is set in stone, and then we'll move into the final design
So they have
dimensions and stuff.
some of their engineering work done, CUNY, but not all, is it?
Correct.
Questions of any variety for Director Billingsley? Come on, give her a stumper question. Give her some obtuse question that would be like, no one knows the answer to.
What's the meaning of life? I was just like.
Yes.
Wanted to stump her.
When or anytime I do, I'll let you know.
So your summary for the building construction on 52nd Street, the other Human Services building, is basically budgetary, we're doing okay. But some of the construction phasing is lagging behind our timeline expectations, that kind of deal.
At this point, yes.
All right, yeah, please do keep us updated then. Always interested in large projects like that house building. I think that is pretty much it. And as far as the local agenda goes, supervisors have any comments or things you'd like to bring up? Otherwise, we've entertained a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Supervisor Gano makes the motion. Oh, well, excuse me, Supervisor Decker made the motion, Supervisor Hammond seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.